Hello, ladies and gentlemen out there in the Geekverse. Thank you for tuning in to yet another solo Taylor movie review. And this time I have the pleasure of doing the origin story prequel sequel to Annabelle. Diving into the whole Conjuring universe here. Um, yeah, so let's get to it. I'm going to start off just basically non spoiler. So if you're planning on seeing this film, you can stay for this little intro part here. But then if you don't want to be spoiled, then you're gonna have to leave right after. I'm sorry. You just have to just pause, go watch the film. Then you can come back. We can talk, have a good time. It'll be great. But so yeah, starting off, this film, I was actually surprised. It actually was better than I thought it would be. Um, I from the trailers, it was hard to really figure out really what the story was and where they were going with it. And then again, it was a prequel, and for Annabelle, like her story is very, I found, confusing. Just kind of, it was just little tidbits here in the Conjuring films, but it was just a very confusing backstory. And this film, it delivered very well and sets itself up as being very more individual and iconic, and not so much feeling like a spin-off, I should say. So I was yeah, pleasantly surprised. It did a great job at its jump scares and having its moments. And I recommend, maybe give it a shot. Go see it. I'm glad that I did. I had to originally I had to wait until Cheap Tuesday when Travis and Dylan were gonna go see it, and thankfully, they changed their minds, and Travis is like, okay, you can go see it. I'm like, Dark Tower Annabelle, Annabelle. Let's make it happen. So I got myself my drink and I sat down in that recliner and like, let's do this. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into some spoilers right now. So if you're gonna go see that movie, go see it, then come back, and we'll have a party. We'll have a hoot and a hat. So yes, the film starts off, and horror movies, they start off great. It's so happy and like positive, and you just think, this is great. I love how they set this up. It's just so happy and genuine. It's like, feels like a good time. And then the kid gets hit by a car, and wow, it just jumps head on, deer in headlights, off the cliff, like, yeah. So unfortunately, the kid gets hit by a car, and then it skips right ahead, and I was like, whoa, this just got real really fast. And I mean, it's horror movies, obviously, but it started to go a little bit downhill. I found, it was obviously introducing the characters, but it got kind of slow, and uh, I wasn't distracted. Like, I was focused in the movie the whole time. But I mean, if I was at home or something, I feel like at this point, like if I was on a couch and I wasn't in a theater, I'd probably have like picked up my phone, maybe just kind of like send a message to Travis or something like that. Who knows? But I was enveloped in this story, and yeah, it even though it was kind of going slow, it still was like, oh, okay. Another thing though, I mean, it did have its moments where like it was foreshadowing, and you could call and predict when these jump scares are going to happen, and I don't like that. Maybe I might get scared still, even though I know it's coming. But I mean, I don't want to know it's coming. And that's something that The Conjuring is really good at, is making you not expect it to come. It builds up that anticipation, builds it up further, and then boom, like it delivers, and it delivers great. And at the beginning of this, or progressing from the beginning of this film, it didn't necessarily do that, and it really took away, I feel, from that experience. Um, but moving along from that, the characters, you get to learn more about them, and it is obviously all these girls in a girls' orphanage, and so they get to arrive at the home of this the mother and father that lost their child, and shit's gonna go like kaput from what you saw. I mean, it's gonna come. So obviously there's a little bit of kind of like curiosity and just kind of fear with the girls just kind of getting like used to the new place that they're living in, and dolls everywhere. Oh my god, like I mentioned this to the geeks earlier. Like if movies got dolls, that's a movie for me. Like I don't know, dolls are just so friggin' scary. I don't know what it is. But you know, this movie's got dolls everywhere. Frickin' doll, 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 doll. There's a doll, there's a doll. The girls all got dolls, like dolls in the rooms. That like, oh my god, dolls. And I'm thinking, Taylor, you just got to like just take a deep breath, get through this. It's like just and you know what, pulled through. And finally when we get to see the terrifying doll, Annabelle, um, I mean, it's the build up to that point was actually for me it was really good, and it was hard to really tell like the spirit working around with Annabelle, like at a point like I genuinely felt like, oh, you know, I feel so sorry for the spirit of the kid that got hit by the car. And I mean, like it's just you really kind of I felt a connection, you know, just kind of feeling sorry. And then obviously the girl starts to make a connection too, and just kind of gets closer, and it seems friendly and everything. And it doesn't take long for that to kind of blow up in her face, and soon enough she lets it out, and you're just trying to keep up with what's going on. But yeah, so the doll Annabelle, the door gets unlocked because the girl is curious and she's unlocking doors she shouldn't be. And granted, she thinks it's probably one of the other girls playing pranks on her or whatever, but she unlocks the door, door doesn't close, she tries to lock it again, opens back up, and the doll is doing already some crazy shit. But it's all small, it's minimal, so that's okay. But then diving in further, the next day comes along, and the girls are they're chilling, they're having a good time. But then you just know the one girl, Janice, she's got a leg injury, and so she's not too mobile, slowly, but she's on like a crutch. So the other girls are all off exploring and everything, so it's a lot of time spent with her and learning about her character a little bit, and just kind of like feeling out how, like, who she is as a person. And just when she starts to become weaker throughout the story, just like, oh no, like, don't give in, like, because we've seen like The Conjuring, we know what happens, like, if you start to show your weakness, like, those demons, son of a guns, they're onto you. You don't want to show that you're weak, like, not at all. So uh she there's moments where she shows off that she can be tough, and you really root for her. And I mean, her friend too, I mean, uh you know she kind of ditches her, and she's not the greatest friend, but you root for the friend at some point. Now, the movie, as I said, it was going downhill, and you could predict the jump scares, and it just spent a little bit of time learning about the characters a bit, and just kind of whatever. And the jump scares that came my way, I'm the kind of person, I'll be like, oh, got my hands up on my face, and I'm just kind of like peeking through. And but I wasn't at that point throughout the whole beginning. I might have like put my arms behind my head and like stretched, because I'm thinking, oh, here it comes, and you're just trying to brace yourself for the loud theme music to pop off and everything. But it got to the point where now the it was around the middle of the movie, I'd say, and Janice finally, like, shit was coming for her. And I wasn't expecting this, but she goes into the room she's not supposed to, obviously, and it's all calm and chill, and she's playing around, and sure enough, she sees the dead girl kind of just pop up, and it's all chill and calm. She kind of introduces herself. She's like, "Oh, you must be so and so," and the girl's like, "Will you help me?" And she's tapping on the window, and it's your on her backside, basically, from the other girl's point of view, Janice's point of view. And Janice's like, what do you need? And she walks towards the girl, And I don't know why. I should have expected this, but I didn't. The girl, obvious, the dead girl, her head spins around and it's demonic, and she screams, "Your soul!" And then the hair shot up on my neck, and I'm like, "Bit!" Like, oh, this is serious. This just got legit. And that was it for me. Like, that's 360 spin, quick scope, no scope, whatever you want to call it. I was like, and I thought that would be it. I thought it'd be the quick jump scare, but no. Sure enough, obviously she limps her way out of the room, and this frickin' the demon frickin' girl or whatever, who isn't a sweet little innocent girl, like she's out for vengeance here. She chases after her, and the girl frickin' she can't run down the stairs obviously, so there's this one of those slow little chairs that's on the top of the staircase, and it goes down for people that are they need that assistance and everything. It's understandable, and she was sitting on the chair and it's slowly going down, and she's making her way, and the lights, it's pitch black at the top of the staircase, and she's going down, but all of a sudden the chair obviously stops, and now I'm freaking out because this chick's got to get the hell out of here, and she's screaming, and no one else, all of her other orphanage girls don't hear her. The sister, not a real sister, but like um, a, a nun, like she doesn't hear anything. The owners of the house, they don't hear anything. Like no one hears her screaming, freaking out, and all of a sudden, yeah, her chair stops, and she does a great job displaying the fear and the concern, and just struggling and being in the situation. I was blown away by how she was able to deliver that, and sure enough, the chair starts to go up, and she's trying to grab on the things. But you know what? There is no force on earth or heaven that would make that chair go up. I'd be grabbing shit. That and like when you see that girl at the top of the staircase, she's all fucked up in the face. Like okay, I'm not. No, 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 no. And but the poor Janice. The chair gets to the top, and she's sitting there. I don't know why you would sit there. It's pitch black around you. That fucked up little demon spawn chick hit by car girl is twerking out around the place. She's somewhere there, but let's just sit in the chair. That's where I kind of thought, oh, why do they do this in horror movies? Do they do it to build the anticipation? Do they do it to scare you, or do they do it just to piss you off? Because they do a great job pissing me off some of these moments. But she sat there, and all of a sudden, boom, she got flung up to the ceiling. And this is something I hate. Okay, these horror movies, I don't know why, but there's always the teens that just come into the theater, and they start off, they're quiet, and then sure enough they get loud, they get giggly. You hear them mingling their popcorn and their candy, and they're slurping really loud. But sure enough, this poor little girl on the movie, she gets sucked up to the ceiling by this demon thing, and you think she's dead, and all of a sudden you just see her boot fall and hit the ground, and the girl burst out laughing behind me. I'm thinking, oh, just pulls me right out of this moment. I'm trying to like enjoy a good scare and like some storyline here and what's going on. The girls are like, ha 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 ha, and I'm thinking, that's not funny. If you were in that situation, I mean, geez Louise, you wouldn't be laughing then. This is some serious stuff. But yeah, they're laughing, and then finally the girl's body falls to the ground. They're laughing even harder. I'm thinking, like, come on. They shut up eventually, and but the girl's okay. She lived. I mean, I thought she was kind of like dead, and I thought that would be kind of abrupt. But she was alive. She was well. She gets taken obviously to the hospital for help and brought back the next day. And the next day, that's when it gets like even more like from this point on in the film, it had me on the edge of my seat, and I'm in a recliner, so I mean that's saying a lot. I mean, I kept on like moving and readjusting because it was just like intense. And when you just when you think the movie is getting to a good point, you think, yeah, you know what, like do this for the girl. She deserves this. Like, oh, finally these characters are getting a break. No, that's not the case. So sure enough, the nun brings the girl outside, and she's like, you need some sun. And she's like, yeah, the sun is good. And she gets comfortable and leans back and smiles. And all of a sudden, you see the barn door open, and the girl, all of a sudden, you see it's the same clothes and it looks the same as the nun, but it's not the nun. You see those fugly hands or whatever pushing her in her wheelchair into the barn. You think, oh, just dolphin dive out of that chair, do something. But no, no one can hear her screaming, and the kids are outside across the bay over there, just in putting up laundry, but they don't hear her screaming. She gets shoved into the barn. Barn door closes. No one runs to her help right away. And then, then it starts to go crazy, like stuff's shaking or whatever, and then Scarecrow, oh, we'll get to that later, Scarecrows are going to be on my list now. Fuck, and Scarecrows. But yeah, so she crawls underneath the part of the barn floor, and, we got, like, some Conjuring stuff that goes on, because, sure enough, the little demon girl, and I hate when they are crawling, doing crab walk shit. We got some crab walk coming along, and she jumps on the girl, and then obviously does the Conjuring puke possessed stuff or whatever, and poor Janice. Oh, Janice. They break into the barn after, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm okay." And like she does a great job at that again, like just delivering with that. I mean, I think it's absolutely intense and fantastic. Um, but sure enough, like, okay, well, now she's screwed. She's going to have some weird stuff going on because we've seen it all before. And so, moving along from that, again, it just gets more it builds up, and it just gets, the hairs were on my neck the whole time after that. Like, they were standing up. And it was just, I wasn't expecting the film to just turn around like this and then accelerate and accelerate and accelerate even further, and just now I couldn't predict the jump scares. Now it was just building up, and when you think it's going to happen, it doesn't, and it's now I'm feeling like, okay, this is what's setting it apart from the previous Annabelle film. This is what the Annabelle film should have started, like it should have been, and it really was bringing and flushing it out as a horror movie, and not just being a spin-off, but an actual standalone like film on its own. And I mean, it just it got to the point where the little girl, she is shooting this ball off down the hallway, and the some whatever that demon thing is, you don't see it, but it's in the dark hallway, the ball and the string's going up, and it pulls the gun out of her hand, and she jumps up into her bed. It's a bunk bed, and she's on the top bunk, and she hears like footsteps, and the light goes out, and she looks up, and then when she looks back down, she sees these footprints, and the oh god, she's smart. I would do this too, because she knows it's underneath the bed, like on the bottom bunk. She doesn't look all the way down, but she goes to the side against the wall, and she peeks, and oh shit, Annabelle, when she peeks, Annabelle's like looking right at her, and you see that demon hand grab the doll, and like, I wouldn't fall asleep, but somehow she fell asleep. Kudos to her. You gotta get your rest. You gotta sleep and have that strength. I wouldn't sleep. I'd be awake all night. I would have called for help. That's something that irked me. I don't know why she didn't call for help. I mean, apparently calling for help doesn't do jack shit. I mean, the house is full of people, but why call for help? No one's gonna hear you, obviously. Jesus. But you know what? She pulled through the night, and but sure enough, I mean, the next day though, I mean, her friend is now like cuckoo, like for Cocoa Puffs, and it's just the stuff that starts happening, but then it starts to showcase or show off the fact that, okay, you learn a little bit here. Once the dad obviously dies, and again, he goes out like a boss. Okay, he goes into the house, and I guess everyone is gone on errands except for one of the girls, but she goes in the house, and you see the Annabelle doll at the dinner table. Like, okay, this is chill, like, why would the daughter kill the dead daughter kill dad, but obviously it's not the dead daughter, it's the demonic demon dude, and the dad had a cross. You're thinking, okay, I'm rooting for this dad, he's got the tools, he's holding it, he's gonna do this, and he's like, bam, I mean, he just had to say some lines, I'm sure. I don't know any of those Bible lines, I mean, but this dad, he obviously does. He didn't say anything. When he turned around, and then you see like the little girl Janice or whatever, like walking, and like, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Oh shit! she like steps back, and then the whole room behind her goes dark, and then you hear like the bone cracking, and you see her eyes glowing, and she starts to raise up off the ground. At least her eyes do, and you just know it's some tall demon dude again or whatever that possessed her. And it shows him holding his cross, and he's like, he's got this, he's determined. And he did a great job throughout this film, just showing how, he's just, he feels like he's given up, but he's wronged, and he's just trying to like just move on and be there for his wife and just provide. And he's just struggled with the fact that he's lost his daughter and this is happening. And but at the same time, that he knows something that is up, like something's not right, and he's aware of this presence in this house. And so he's holding the cross, and all of a sudden his front finger breaks backwards, and then the next middle finger, and then like, oh my god, they're breaking back. And as each one's breaking back, the girls behind me start laughing again, thinking, what the hell? What is so funny about a dude's fingers bending backwards? Like, seriously. I was like in awe. I mean, I was in awe from the fingers bending backwards. I was in awe from the girls laughing at the fingers bending backwards. I was just in awe. And I'm like rooting for this guy. The pinky breaks backwards. I'm like, don't drop your cross. But the thumb breaks back and the cross drops. And then you obviously hear him screaming. And then the girls get home and they run in like, oh, he's dead. It's very shitty, but yeah, he's dead. But it picks up the pace. For some reason, they stayed in the house that night. I guess you're brave, but I wouldn't have stayed in that house. Absolutely not. First inkling of one of those girls telling me, I feel, we're supposed to feel this presence when God is around. Yeah, okay. Well, I feel another presence, and it's evil, and it's in this house. I'm out. I mean, it's just common sense. I mean, horror movie knowledge aside, just common sense. You get the fuck out of those scenarios. You don't mess around with shit like that. But you know what? They stayed. They're brave. They don't have anywhere else to go. Sure, they stayed. And they, that's when it started to take a turn for the worst. Janice's friend abducts Annabelle and runs outside to throw her into a well. And she does just that, and it keeps building up these moments of just something's coming, but it doesn't. Nothing happens, and that's good because it sets you up for the next jump scare, and it delivers. So yeah, she throws Annabelle in the well, and then Annabelle's like tweaking out, like inside the well. They throw the lid on top of the well, and the lid's popping off up and down. You're thinking, oh, this doll is pissed. This is some serious Chucky shit going on. But the nun and the girl run back inside, and they run over to Janice, who's on the bed, and they're like, oh, Janice, we got rid of the doll, it's okay now. And they pull the covers back, and then bam, there's a bombshell right there. Annabelle is in the bed, under the covers. You're thinking, this doll is just twerking out here, tweaked, twacked, I don't even know, but this is some serious stuff. Holy smokes, smokety smokes, like, Jesus. Like, it had me going. And you're thinking, okay, where's Janice? Because Janice, like, you got the doll that you have to worry about, but you also got to worry about this frickin' girl who's been possessed. And sure enough, like, the other girls come running downstairs, and the nun's like, okay, we gotta go out, we gotta find this girl. You guys go off, be careful, but go find her. I don't know, I wouldn't have sent the girls. I would have stayed as a group, because if you send people off on their own, I mean, that's when the stuff goes wrong. But it's a movie, horror movie logic. So, sure enough, the girls go off, and they spot Janice, and Janice has this knife and is like acting crazy bitch on all these girls, and the girls run off, but the nun gets like force levitated, Anakin Skywalkered into the wall. I don't know what you want to call it, but she was using the force. She lifted the nun, and Janice used the force again and threw the nun into the wall, smashing a mirror. And then the girls are running off, and then Janice's friend, she tries to run off, and then she doesn't make it. She trips. I hate when it happens in horror movies, but it's like a part of horror movie culture, I guess. The trip, classic trip. And so she trips, and then she gets dragged off, and she's like running for her life now in another room, separate from the girls. The other girls run outside, and those girls, they're in the truck, and they're trying to start up the truck and get away. And as the lights are flashing on, way up against the barn, you see that scarecrow motherfucker again. Those scarecrows, holy shit, they're out to get you. I mean, ever since Goosebumps, that episode with the scarecrows, I know you know which one I'm talking about. Those guys, I, those scarecrows, man. And this one, he's up against the barn, and he starts turning his head, and you're like, oh my god. And sure enough, they turn the lights on, the scarecrow's gone. Thinking, oh, this is shit. And the girl runs into the barn head first, and the other girls stop outside. And they were smart, you know. Let's not run into a frickin' barn where the possessive shit's going down. But they stop outside and they point to the scarecrow on the wall. And the girl who's in the barn, she turns and the scarecrow, and then turns back to the door, and she starts running, and the door closes on her, and she's yelling for her friends, but her friends magically teleported. They're not outside the door anymore. Thinking like, what the hell are her friends even doing? But yeah, now she turns back. The scarecrow's still on the wall. You know, he hasn't moved yet, but there's an axe in between her and the scarecrow. So she slowly makes her way to the axe, gets to it, starts trying to pull it out, pulls the handle off the axe, and I'm just getting pissed because this is not what you want going for you here. But you know, that aside, like she holds the handle for a little bit, but then that's when it starts to get like, that's when the shit goes down, because then the scarecrow, his head's like moving a bit, and his like gloves fall off, and you see the demon hands, those fucking demon hands, and the demon hands go onto its scarecrow mask and start pulling it apart, and you see the demon teeth, and it's just some scary frickin' stuff. It really freaks me out, and this is just adding to the film so much more, just building up that anticipation, and just like, oh my god, like this demon is everywhere at once. It just had my heart going, and it was delivering. That's what I wanted in a horror film, and it's not what I expected from this movie. And it yeah, so I mean, she luckily she got out of that situation, and it was not easy. That demon dude's on the ceilings and everything. Like, he reminded me of like Darth Maul from Insidious. You know, that dude. I mean, very similar kind of. But yeah, so that's where she escapes from the demon dude, and then it goes back to the Janice's friend, and those little elevators that you have in the walls, and it go up and down, like to lift stuff up to the rooms like upstairs and stuff. I hate those things. When you see one in a horror movie at the beginning, you know it's going to be incorporated somehow, and it's not going to be incorporated in a good way. It's going to be bad, it's going to be terrible, it's not going to be good. But at this point, obviously, like, yeah, you've learned that the Annabelle, the mother and dad, they obviously prayed out to whatever higher power they could to bring their girl back, and their girl came back, but it was actually the demon dude who was trolling them the whole time as their daughter really wasn't. And you know, those scenes where, because when the mom finally confronted the ghost girl, that's when you learn about this pretty much. And you know, the ghost girl's standing up and is like, the scene where they're like, their arms are like going backwards and their head starts to like twerk and spin, and they're like, and the bones are cracking, like, yeah, like that. I hate that so much. That's just, gosh darn it, that's discomforting, I would say. And then, you know, she turns into a demon and attacks the mom there, and that's why the mom obviously isn't, she's got the mask and stuff and everything, but you know, the demon eventually finally finishes his business and kills the mom, because the mom's hanging up in her room and she's missing her lower half. You know, she's just arms and her torso and her head, and you know, like, that's pretty brutal. I feel bad for anyone that's got to go like that, especially, you know, just by a demon dude. You know, that's not cool. But you know, she's dead, and it sucks. So the girl, obviously Janice's friend, is running around, but yeah, she gets to the elevator little thing, and she goes into it, and she's going down. She goes down to the basement, and she like peeks her head out, and she sees like this blood on the wall, and she's moving with the light, and all of a sudden you see the mom's body there now. She's not on the wall anymore upstairs. Her top half is just on the ground dead, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on with this place? And this, again, it got me again. The little girl like is getting up closer, and it didn't have any build up or anything, but the mom, just the top half, I don't know why I didn't see it coming, but her head lifts up and she's like, she starts crawling mad fast. She's like, wow, she's freaking fast. She's crawling towards this girl, and the girl gets into the elevator quick and starts pulling herself up, and I'm like on the edge of my seat, freaking out. I keep looking behind me in my theater seat because I'm thinking, okay, who's the son of a gun that's gonna scare me here, or like, where's that Annabelle doll at, because shit's like legit right now. And so she's going up the elevator, and she outsmarts the demon here, because the demon grabs onto the elevator and pulls down the elevator, but she grabs onto a rope that's going up, so it pulls her up. I'm thinking, this chick, you go girl, you got this, you go, you freaking kid, you're gonna win, you're gonna live. And she crawls out, and she gets out, and she's about to run downstairs, but then you see Janice, the freaking possessed demon girl, standing at the bottom of the stairs holding a doll. She's like, you know why I like this doll? She's stabbing it. She's like, because it looks like you. Ooh, this bitch, this kid. Sorry, I shouldn't call her bitch, but she's scary. So the girl, Janice's friend, runs into a room, hides in there, and that's when it's starting to all come down to a climactic ending. And the nun didn't actually die. Like, she was holding the Annabelle doll, and she manages to pop up and grab Janice's friend out of this little room and kick in Annabelle with the little demon girl into the room, locking it up. And this room, apparently, it's like a holy room. It's got phrases from the Bible plastered all over the room, and it's been blessed by priests and everything as well. So she's trapped in there for a bit, and the nun and the Janice's friend run outside, meet up with the other girls, and then you hear the demonic roar, and this house is like shaking, and the lights are popping off, like it's insane. And then the lights explode off, and it's all quiet, but the police show up right then and there, and they go into the house, and there's the Annabelle doll sitting in the room, and there's a little hole. That girl got away. I mean, she's like, Jesus, frickin' spider monkey. But yeah, no, she got away, and this is where it starts to set it up for the prequel, the other prequel spin-off, which is a sequel. But yeah, so the father or whatever, not the father of the dead girl, but like a holy father, a priest, he comes out and he's like, this house has been blessed, and he's holding the Annabelle doll, and he's like, who wants the doll? And the girl's like, but basically he explains it as like, oh, the doll's just a conduit, and whatever was here, it's gone, so it's harmless. But I mean, the doll always does act as a conduit, but at the same time, I feel, it's still its own thing. I mean, you don't want to invite anything into that doll, and I mean, even though the doll isn't necessarily moving in frames, whenever the frames change and the doll's like this, and it's like this, and it's like this, and it's like transitioning, it's some freaky stuff. And but yeah, so the police take the doll away, and they assure the family, we'll find the girl, it's okay, because she's missing at this point. And then it goes to a scene where it shows two recognizable characters if you've seen the other Annabelle movie. So the other two characters, they're in an orphanage, and it shows obviously the girl, Janice, and she's like, oh, my name is Annabelle. And so the parents, they pull out a doll and they adopt her, and then it starts to show the girl, like Janice or Annabelle now, aging, and it shows how it establishes it in this film, basically. So it shows the parents being killed in their room by their adopted girl, Janice, who is calling herself Annabelle. And then it shows, like, if you've seen this movie, where the neighbors, obviously, they see their neighbors getting killed by their daughter and that crazy cult dude. and it goes hand in hand because Annabelle the doll is just continuing to it sticks around and continues on her own journey alongside, not directly alongside, but close by to the possessed girl who's doing her own journey. Um, and it wraps it all up in a nice bow, basically, as an ending. And I wasn't expecting it to be quite like that, but I'm very happy that it ended so close to this film, actually. Um, the interesting thing too is it had a lot of Easter eggs, you could say, and nods to The Conjuring 2, and obviously since it's Annabelle. But one of my favorite moments was the part where the dad of the dead girl was talking to the nun and looking at a picture, and the nun's like, "Oh yeah, these are all like three nuns that I met in Romania and got very close to." And it just sends shivers down your spine because then into the far right of the photo, it's not, you don't see it, but as he tilts the photo, you barely see a glare. And sure enough, it's our good friend nun lady, frickin' from Conjuring 2. Ugh. But it just, there's a little nod there, and the nun's like, "Oh, I don't remember her." And then sure enough, like the puking possession thing from Conjuring 1, um, as a movie, for me, Annabelle, it was hard to learn and understand her origin and how she operated, and really just where she came from. Because in The Conjuring, you learn what happens in this way, and then in Annabelle, the first one, you learn how it happens this way, and it's just very scattered. And I couldn't figure out how she operated. But now this film, I'm glad they did this origin story prequel because it fills in that gaps and it makes you understand, like, okay, like she's a doll, obviously, how she was made. She's not possessed all the time, but there are times, like, yeah, she is that conduit that demons or the demon just closely follow, and will possess. And she's just a doll you don't want to mess with. But with the Easter eggs and with the way they were taking the story and how it picked up like halfway through, even a little bit before halfway through, and just accelerated and built up into this awesome ending. I think the film is very much worthy of not being on a cheap Tuesday or just simply resorting to Netflix. I think, pay that $10 and go see this movie. I mean, I know I love everything, obviously, but this movie, I really, really loved it. It really sent me for a loop. It was really scary, um, and I think it's great all around. Great horror movie, jump scares and all. I think that if it was if the first Annabelle movie was like this, it would have been much more established and more hyped. More people would have enjoyed it, obviously. And it sucks that the first Annabelle wasn't delivered in this way. I think it would have done the series much more justice. Um, but I don't see any reason why we deserve another Annabelle movie at this point. We've gotten the origin story. We've got it wrapped up in a bow here. It's fine. It's set. It's done. At this point, maybe you could throw another Conjuring. I doubt they would do that. But by focusing on maybe one of those other cool artifacts inside that room, something like that. But I mean, at this point, I feel like the story for Annabelle, Conjuring, all of that has been, for me at least, completed. Um, would I see this movie again? Absolutely, totally. I'm gonna give it, honestly, probably like a solid. I would give it like a 7.9. Not, I wouldn't give it that full 8 because it has moments, and just that huge amount of time where it was just kind of slow and everything. It was boring. I don't know, not boring, but just didn't do it for me. But yeah, 7.9. This film, it overall it was pretty solid, pretty good, and I'll be seeing it again. It was very much scary. It was a thrill ride. Um, so I think that pretty much covers everything. One last thing though, it was cool because seeing this film, Stephen King actually in the previews had a short little message, and they dropped a exclusive clip from It, and um, maybe that had some effect on me. I don't know, but going like the exclusive clip was scary as shit. Let me tell you, I'm so hyped and anticipating like this. The It movie is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to see it. Just from that scene alone, it had me on like freaking out, and I'm pretty sure that probably had a bit of an effect on me. Like when I went in to see now, when the movie started for Annabelle, that probably had me already on the edge of my seat, freaked out. But it was very cool again to see that exclusive clip for It, and we have that review that'll definitely be coming out day one when that movie is launched out in September. So you have to stay tuned for that. We got tons of other awesome content. We've got our Saw retrospectives in the works here, building up the anticipation for Jigsaw coming out. So we got a lot of awesome content on the way. So with that awesome internet connection, you can go into your address bar, go into your Facebook, and in your Facebook search bar, type in Geekverse Space Podcast, and you're gonna find tons of stuff, retrospectives, videos, reviews, everything your heart's content. And when you're done that, go into our Twitter, go into our YouTube, our SoundCloud, iTunes, Reddit, Twitch. We're all over the place. But most importantly, go onto our Patreon, Geekverse Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? If you feel generous, you want to donate $1 for the month, you get a ton of Spider-Man retrospectives. You get a ton of extra episodes, early content, videos, everything. Gauntlet matches early. We got an insane gauntlet match coming up. It's all the geeks in this against each other. Smash Brothers Wii U. Check it out. It's going to be great. Comes out soon. Yeah, so until next time, I will see you in the search bar, ladies and gentlemen, and try not to get too scared out there. But hopefully you'll enjoy the movie. Have a good one.